Yes, my name is Terrance Popp, and I'm Operator 1 for secondclasscitizen.org. And the reason I'm here is no longer just for myself. I'm speaking about a phenomenon that's been going on for the past 3.5 decades. The subsequent removal of children from their fathers and families based on absolutely nothing. As you know, our military has been racked with suicides. The government is spending billions of dollars trying to find out what's behind this phenomenon. And I have gone to great lengths and figured out pretty much with the use of a simple find and replace tool in Microsoft Office that these suicides usually have a component of a broken relationship. But the Army and the government doesn't want to boil it down to what is behind that broken relationship, which is usually a trip to family court, a battle for custody, which usually results in the veteran and or male losing his children and basically turn into indentured servant to the state until his children are the age of 18, or with this new Obamacare, 26. I really don't know how that's going to go out. But with that being said, on average, once this happens, that man is nothing but a voice on the phone and a check in the mail. He grows apart from his children, and before you know it, he's no longer a voice in their lives at all. And as a person who's served this nation through 3 wars, I thought when I actually stepped in the court that I would be treated fairly, and I believed in all the ideals I was actually going to war for, and nothing could be further from the truth. My service was used against me. I was referred to as an assassin and a murderer. My wounds were used against me to help separate me from my children, since I was a victim of a blast injury in Iraq in 2004. And on the day of the friend of the court's recommendation, they had called me and said they wanted a release from a psychiatrist, and I had 45 minutes to produce this documentation, which is next. It can't be done, it's impossible. And this was despite the fact that I identified to the Macomb County friend of the court that I'd be returned to full duty with no limitations. It meant absolutely nothing. So again, my children are gone. It's not about me anymore. It's about the guys behind me. That's why I do this. So hopefully you watch my video, and we can always use some support. Thank you very much.
Very quickly, when did you meet the woman you married, and when did you guys get married, and then when did you part ways?
I met her in '97, and we were married in 2000, or '99 actually. And I got wounded in Iraq. I had a closed head injury, so I was a little loopy there for a while when I returned. And apparently, while I was in a state of recovery, there was some hanky-panky going on. And once I came to my senses and I found out what's going on, I'm the guy who filed for divorce. So technically, I guess on paper, we're married almost 7 years. So, and it's the running joke in the Army is, 7 years you get your first review. So I didn't make it past the first review.
How many children?
2 girls.
And if I understand what you said in your statement to Congress, have you been completely cut out of their life?
No, I went berserk right after the divorce, and I had her in court every 2 weeks until, they threatened to throw me in jail, and I just said, go ahead, do it. And I wound up getting more time, and I'm still fighting for more time. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why the first option can't be 50-50 physical custody right off the bat, and then a lot of this craziness that goes on in the family court would just come to a screeching halt.
Was there was no accusation of abuse or anything when you guys parted? She was messing around and you said, let's divorce.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was lucky because, my paperwork was filed shortly before hers, and I was actually pretty tame. I got to live in the house and, you know, pay my portion of the bills. And if my motion had not got there first, hers was incredibly devastating. You know, and there was some nuclear option, you know, wording in there. And, you know, one of the repercussions of the fact that I filed for divorce first is, you know, I returned after being gone for 3 weeks to find my 6-year-old dog dead. She basically disappeared him, put him to sleep, gave him away. I don't know, I never got him back. But that was just a maneuver to try to get me to flip out, and then she would automatically win anyway, which that didn't happen.
All right, so I agree with you totally. It's one of the recommendations we're making and the things that we provide to the state legislature in each state is that if it's an amicable situation at the time the divorce is structured, which it sounds like until she got with a divorce lawyer it probably was, it ought to be 50-50.
Yeah. In fact, you know, I owned a mortgage company. I was self-employed up until I got, you know, activated to go to Iraq at the end of '03. So these children were with me all the time. I worked on my own schedule. And I went from that to basically 96 hours a month. That's what every other weekend is. That's not fatherhood. You can't raise kids 96 hours a month. You got to be around them all the time. That's just my personal opinion.
Oh, I agree totally. Explain to me in a little more detail what all she used against you. You know, you talked about you kill people or whatever. Was that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a former airborne ranger, Green Beret, paratrooper, infantry soldier across 3 wars. You know, I was wounded up front, you know, in the action. So I'm not a paperwork pusher kind of guy, it is what it is, and that's the character of my service. And the ex-wife, I think it was mainly her attorney who made all these suggestions, and these came up in court, and these suggestions were made to the person at the front of the court who was using them against me. I think, you know, to be honest with you, if 84% of all awards go to the female when you go to court, I mean, at what point is it sexual discrimination? Is it 51%? Is it 91%? What is it? I personally think there's some kind of sexual discrimination goes in there, because that remaining 16%, did you know that 7 to 8% of that is just uncontested? So if you add that in there, only 6% of the male population has even a chance of getting custody of their children in these egregious situations. At what point do we have to say, okay, this needs to be fixed?
What solutions do you have? What needs to change?
Well, like I said, the first option is 50-50 physical custody. That's it. And that would cut down on a lot of this he said, she said, and lawyers getting everything stirred up. So, because the lawyers win in the end because they bill all the hours. And then the child support system, which I call industry, you know, they get matched dollar for dollar from the federal government on Title IV money for all of the child support that they collect. So that's a free stream of revenue for them. And it just no longer becomes about the child, and no longer becomes about the non-custodial parent. It's a business thing.
What if decisions in divorce court and family court was done by a jury instead of a single person?
I tried to get to a jury. I really did. I tried to, but they kept telling me that'll be $200,000, and you know, you'll probably wind up getting a worse situation. And you know, my attorney was really good, and he was willing to do it. And but you know, they didn't want that to happen. And it's another thing that I found that was incredibly distasteful with Macomb County. Is I show up to court in my uniform, right? It's obvious that I'm, you know, been around the block a few times. I mean, 26 years of service across 3 wars. You get a lot of awards, medals. We call it fruit salad in the Army. And when I went into court, that was criticized for, you know, trying to sway them for wearing the uniform. And then they talked to me like I'm a criminal. Like, who the hell is the judge to talk to me? This is family court. I'm not a criminal. I'm the farthest thing from it. You know, I just thought it was in poor taste. And they all do it. So, I mean, I've sat in, because I run a nonprofit, secondclasscitizen.org, and I've had people taking notes in all of the courts in Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne. And I've got a lot of the video footage from some of the more colorful ones, because I have a producer, and we have a funding source, and we build our stuff and put it on YouTube.
So everybody can go to secondclasscitizen.org and it'll have links to the YouTube stuff?
Yeah, or you can go to YouTube and search for secondclasscitizen.org, all one word. I even got called up to speak at the White House in 09 or 010. I talked about the link between the family court system and the rash of suicides. Because these guys, they come back from combat and they're already at the edge. And that family court system has the ability to steal an intangible from you, which is your hope. And anything that can take an intangible from you is evil and in desperate need of being fixed. My military service, in my time, I have served with every elite, paramilitary, and elite military organization that this country has to offer, across 3 wars, 26 years, and several operations that will never kiss the pages of history. I went from, in 04, running as a first sergeant a infantry company in Iraq in the belly of the beast out of Abu Ghraib prison for a year. Now, I didn't lose one man. In 07, I was literally reduced to being homeless, living in my car, stripped of my children, every ounce of dignity I had. I mean, from the end of 04 to the beginning of 07, in that short amount of time, you know, and on top of that, I was still recovering from, you know, being wounded in battle, and I was treated no more than a common criminal, and I was spoken to and treated as a criminal. I didn't do anything other than file for divorce because my wife decided to go elsewhere and was unfaithful to me. That's it. I mean, and the whole thing is just crazy. I mean, and I talk to people from all over the country, and there is no better place. There is no state that does anything better. They're all just as corrupt and jacked up. I mean, a lot of this would also come to an end if these judges and these family court people had some accountability, what they do. When you take away man, I've seen it all over the world and every walk of life. I mean, I'm well-traveled. You can give somebody just a little bit of power and take away all accountability, and they become absolutely, most of the time, tyrants.
You talk to, is it mainly military people? Or?
Well, it's turning out to be mainly military, but it's really anyone who's a non-custodial parent. I have several females that are members. I have wives of some of the veterans who see the double standard, who are helping push this along. I mean, I'm a fighting man. That's what I do. Okay, even when I'm not at war, and you know, when I was in the 80s, 90s, I compete as a professional fighter. You know, when you ring the bell and you kick the stool, I'm going to stand up. That's what I do.
Thank goodness we got people like you who are doing it.
Well, it's all fun and games until you come back with an army.
What would you say to dads out there who currently are living a happy life?
Well, count your blessings, because when you walk down the aisle and you get to the end, I want you to pull out a coin and flip it and call it heads or tails, because guess what? If you don't win that coin toss, you just became a second-class citizen. Because divorce rates in this country are 50-50. Ask Tiger Woods. I tried to recruit him. He paid over $500 million and lost his kids.
What else would you like to say?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if my kids ever see this, I want them to know that I went to The Wire, I went to the White House.
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to let you look right straight in the camera and talk to your kids directly.
All right, if this is to my children, if they should ever see this, I did everything in my power to get more time with you. The obstacles were the law and your mother who didn't want this to happen. And I'm trying desperately to correct it.